And welcome back to the Odyssey that is Let's Play Blasphemous. Can I say the comprehensive nature of this Let's Play is really striking to me? In the last video, you mentioned there weren't really any LPs this comprehensive, and you were on the money, homie. None of them go this deep.
I mean, I was talking specifically about this game, but, everyone's got their own style.
It's a rich tapestry of death, and we have chosen to explore all of its many threads.
The mercy incarnate in her, and her, the daughter of mercy itself. How can I love the others more than holiness itself? The order, I remember it. Its rule was my rule some time ago. My thoughts are forlorn, penitent one.
I'm out of a job!
I need to pray. Thank you, penitent one, in silence. It is my duty to watch over the others in the absence of Our Lady. The order awaits me. Thank you, penitent one, in silence.
What? So he's just gonna, get employed somewhere else?
Well, I mean, this town seems to consist of maybe a population of 200, most of whom are deadly monsters. So I guess that, getting a connection for a new job is relatively easy, but at the same time, I guess the competition is pretty fierce.
Well, that said, he had a very specific form of employment, did he not? Is he gonna find another, human of suffering containment?
Yeah. Well, that's another interesting thing that Cleophas brought up, that the pre-miracle era of Custodia is within living memory.
Unfortunately or fortunately, that's the thing, is I don't know whether or not they're sorrowfully reminiscing about that, or if they like it more now. Maybe it's a split opinions thing,
Yes, much like some of the enemy designs, opinion on it is split.
Yeah, like their sternums and spleens, their organs, their pixels. The ones that are a conglomerate of faces, they look very Be Not Afraid.
A little bit, yeah. It's strange to think that this is first generation suffering,
I hadn't thought of that. That's an interesting point. The idea that these folks probably do have a big split opinion on it, because this whole great miracle thing did happen, yesterday for them.
It's the pre and post miracle generation gap.
Boy, I will say that there will be quite the, what is it? No, death rolls are what alligators do. What are the death booms in cities when everyone in one generation goes at once?
Yeah, or at least the job market related version of that, I believe, is called a brain drain. Except I think in this case the brains are quite literal.
Yeah, but there you go. Actually, that's still an appropriate way to phrase it. Custodia is going to go through a bit of drained brains. The local population is going to get a little bit less intelligent for a while, maybe a little more scared.
I've been using Conte Hondo there for the last couple of minutes. So first of all, something I found out later is that, the prayer is a delete enemies button in this path because we have the New Game Plus oath that increases our prayer damage. It is possible to kind of replicate that in other New Game Plus paths, but you need certain certain beads equipped that increase your prayer damage. Yeah, whereas in this path, that kind of prayer damage just comes naturally.
Yeah, see, that's what I was going to say, actually, is in this run, your rope has basically been comprised of beads to offset the penalties of this playstyle or make it super powerful. But on a normal playthrough, you could use your beads to get to the level of this playstyle. It is... I went back to it idly, and it's such a customizable video game. No playthrough will look the same as any other.
Yeah. Although, so the point I was trying to make as well is that Kante Hondo does a lot of damage on those other New Game Plus playthroughs, but in terms of it being an instant kill on any minor enemy, that's something you need upgrades for.
Oh, I see.
When it comes to enemies like the Amargura, for example, which is essentially a mini boss, it does not kill them instantly, the Kante Hondo, but it takes 3 casts of that prayer to kill the larger enemies.
Yeah, I did not connect that. I saw that as 2 thoughts, but it was 1. I gotcha.
Goes far beyond what I asked for it. And may I don mourning black if I'm trying to deceive you?
Do people don mourning black in this world before you kill them?
I think they put it on as a precaution anyway, just, to get it out of the way.
Yeah, just always wearing it just in case an anvil falls on your head from the high miracle of salt plains. Oops, it washed down the river, and there goes Wile E. Coyote.
So, in The Legend of Zelda The Wind Waker, there was one beetle shop off at the corner of the map where everything was ridiculously expensive. This is kind of the Blasphemous equivalent of that.
I hadn't made that connection, but with the giant pack on her back, all she needs is a sign, and when you buy something, to go, "Thank you!"
I'm sorry, young penitent one, but I'm all out of Hyoi pears at the moment.
Bro, you better buy some mighty bananas. Those are only rarely offered.
To ever find its way into my hands. And may my heart stop beating if I'm being...
With this skin, you look like a mighty banana. Oh my god!
So, if you remember, there were some gold doors back in the prison, the Wall of the Holy Prohibitions, that we couldn't access. This is the key for that.
Oh, no shit. Well, you said we wouldn't find it there.
And it costs an arm and a leg.
Yeah.
Tips of the miracle, penitent.
But thankfully, you could use other people's arms or legs as payment. They didn't specify.
You might have a couple in your bag right now.
And she's like, you know what? That's fine. That just means that they get out of my store a little bit faster. Hand him the receipt, and he teleports away. That lady made such a profit off of you just now. And it reminded me a little bit of when you start Resident Evil 4 on New Game Plus, and the merchant's offering like a $1 million hand cannon, and it's like, buddy, that's highway robbery, but I'll take it.
Yeah, so we'll be revisiting the Wall of the Holy Prohibitions here, and also defeating Kirsa. Just to temper your expectations a bit, the Kirsa fight on this playthrough was, I'm not especially proud of it. It kind of went awry, but hopefully my mistakes will be entertaining.
That's actually part of why this playthrough's been so much fun to be a part of, is because it's not obsessively perfect. This is a real playthrough of Blasphemous. All the way through.
Well, on the other hand, I did kind of break the script here. If you remember last time, yeah.
Put in a clip of jumping off of the bridge to fool Knuckles in Sonic 3. That's what you just did. Holy hell. Are you intended to be able to do that?
Well, I mean, it's not like it breaks anything important. It just saves a backtrack. But
you have all your movement speed upgrades now.
Yeah, I'm not using them at the moment, but there will be one specific moment in playthrough number 3 where, because there's a challenge that involves speedrunning to an extent, so for that specific area, I'll be equipping some specific beads. I mean, along with the stuff that Redento sent us, but also a few other things we haven't seen yet.
It's the most fascinating thing. Every time I think that we have found the most equipment and been everywhere we can be, you're like, so next time we're going to find the blinkety-blippity bloop of the place from the Superstone. And I'm like, we haven't even been to the Superstone! Like, I really can't believe it.
Yeah, and Blasphemous 2 actually allows for even more customization options, although, as I mentioned before, like it's a better video game, but I don't know if the overall experience and atmosphere is better or not. It's hard to tell. I'm going to put off any final judgment on it until I think that the Game Kitchen are working on some extra DLC for Blasphemous 2, which I'm hoping works. I'm hoping that works in a similar way to the way that the DLC in Blasphemous 1 did. Although, speaking of unfortunate situations here, I was hoping to use Mirabras to get out of here, but that lunatic had other plans.
Nope.
So the headbutt is actually a really effective tactic, it turns out. I didn't think that it would be, but maybe they played football before they got locked up.
Yeah. Zinedine Zidane had the right idea.
That's going back a long way. Wow.
I only just realized that happened almost 20 years ago. Jesus Christ, we are all so old.
Epic custodian headbutt.
Mm-hmm.
I might have to actually put a title card explaining that reference like I did a couple of other times.
Put an Urban Dictionary style dictionary definition of it. That's the point we're at.
There are some other mechanics regarding the lunatics in particular and how they work. I don't remember if I've actually showed those off yet or not, but so they continually charge at you, which you can parry, but it works like the heavier attacks where you can't follow it up with a riposte. It's just a deflect. And then once you hit them a couple of times, they gain like a super mode, which makes them. I don't think it actually changes like the way that you can handle them defensively, but it does increase their damage by quite a bit.
Well, if I were a lunatic, that I feel would be how things would play out if I encountered a guy like the penitent one. I'd be like, you know what, fuck this. I'm not submitting to some guy wearing a dunce cap. Rarg! What, he's just relaxing? What?
Well, I was regenerating my magic just to show off that you can, in fact, use the Kante Hondo to break the Children of Moonlight.
Brilliant!
You brought up the dunce cap, which, I mean, it's been 16 videos now. I keep meaning to bring up the influence behind, in particular, behind the very tall cap that our penitent one is wearing.
Tell me! I have no idea, and I would love to know, actually. I've been wondering this whole time. Please, tell me!
So, for our American viewers, you may recognize the shape, if not the color, of the hood that we are wearing, and that is actually...
yes.
While this is not directly referenced, or it is not directly a reference to the Ku Klux Klan, it does have the same origin as that, which is that Catholic soldiers during the Inquisition first of all, they created what was known as a capirote that was initially created for prisoners of the Inquisition, and eventually, possibly as a form of penance, that particular hat became part of the uniform of certain Catholic monks.
No shit!
So the Klan, prior to the 20th century, the Klan looked nothing like this. They didn't have the burning crosses. They didn't have the hoods and the white robes. That was all something that was invented for D.W. Griffith's film Birth of a Nation, which is part of what inspired the current wave of the Klan that emerged in the 20th century.
The depiction of them in Red Dead Redemption, let's say.
Oh, no.
I mean, I'm not going to complain because I'm not going to turn down a chance to beat up the Klan. But technically speaking, introducing the Klan in 1899 is anachronistic.
I suppose the point, though, is that it is where someone that backwards can be imagined to have been alive to be set on fire by Molotov cocktails. Also anachronistic, but who gives a damn, you know? A good goddamn, those boys gotta burn.
But it gets even funnier because, I mean, the 19th century version of the Klan were primarily focused on hating black people exclusively, and maybe someone who's a bit too leftist. But the 20th century version of the Klan expanded their bigotry to include, say, Jews, people of any person of color, really, not just black people, gays, and here's the important part: Catholics. The Ku Klux Klan
Wait, what?
hate Catholics. You may have heard of a conspiracy theory about how every Catholic is secretly radio controlled by the Pope.
What?
That is a particular theory that came from the modern day, 20th century Ku Klux Klan.
The control device clearly is in the hat.
The image that
Yeah.
we think of when we think of the Klan is directly inspired by Catholics, which that has got to be the ultimate spit in the face to any Klansman. I mean, it could only be better if it turned out that the inventor of the capirote was secretly like a black, gay, Jewish person who's Catholic on their mother's side.
It's, I mean, you've been murdered in the game like you've just murdered them and their hypocrisy. That's a level of hypocrisy that I can't really even fathom, that you lose the origin of the thing that you took inspiration from to the point that you find disdain for it.
Yeah.
That's nuts. It's nuts. I love it. Thank you for explaining that in the video. That's bonkers.
Ladies and gentlemen, the South. I apologize to the South. That is actually reasonable, but the South.
Oh man, I grew up in New Orleans. It really is kind of like that. You find just as many folks on the street who are kind and amicable from all walks of life as you do with white people, unfortunately.
I wonder how many Klansmen just unsubscribed from my channel.
You know what? We're collecting their bones right now.
And to said Klansmen, did you know that I was Jewish this whole time?
Oh my god, it's like the dramatic gopher turning around. Speaking of old memes. Oh man, you know, it's funny that you tell that whole story, because it actually reminds me of another video game with fictional inspiration from the same place. It's Pyramid Head. Yay!
Oh!
And the Silent Hill Historical Society in Silent Hill 2, you get to look at pictures on the wall of good old real Pyramid Head, not all distorted from the hell world. And it's just a guy standing next to a bishop-looking fella who apparently is a disgraced person who was given a new life as an executioner for the cult order. And it's like, we did that in the real world too. Too bad that we don't have monster machinations from our nightmares that come back to life. Mine would, like, be spider-shaped. What about yours?
I don't know. I haven't given that much thought, to be honest.
I think about it like every night until I can't sleep. Really?
So as
Fred,
you,
what do you
you
dream
saw
about
that sort
at
of
night?
red smoke coming out from
Yes.
that is the super mode that I mentioned for the lunatics. They move faster and they deal more damage, but you could still parrying them is more of a last resort, because it is, again, you can't damage them with the parry. It's only a temporary deflection. Plus, it's all too easy for them to sort of their attacks to stack if you're dealing with more than one lunatic at a time.
Gotcha.
Can you play the whole game with that type of a build where you bleed them and let them bleed out?
No,
And rage
that's
them and then, like, you know what I mean? Get to safety. Like, I don't... Do
I
other
guess that
enemies
could
do
work
that?
if you had like a certain heart equipped and a couple of other beads. Then yeah, maybe. So the Spear of the Sacred Smoke. Every time
Oh.
that we swing the Mea Culpa, it gives a very small chance of refilling one bile flask. I don't know the exact number of the RNG, but I think it's like it's like in the single percentages.
Whoa.
Oh, hi Hibriel.
How did he get... We'll ask him later.
Carefully.
Of Laudes, the first Amanacida, was immense. Such was her devotion to the Twisted One that her body was unable to bear it. One night, she felt the pores of her skin open, and her very passion began to exit through them, taking the form of
I
liquid.
think there's a Reddit about that happening to people.
In that long night, that fine thread was woven by the High Will, creating the bodies of the other 4 women. They are nothing but the very passion of Laudes incarnate.
99% urine, 1% gold.
The miracle was jealous, yes. It was jealous of that unmeasured passion towards the twisted one of Laudes, and of her 4 replicas, her 4 reflections. It wanted all.
And thus they became DLC mini-bosses.
I don't see any problem with that. Someone's got to ascend somewhere, otherwise those areas would be empty.
In glass sarcophagi that contained all of that excessive fervor.
Oh, that's what we're doing.
Until the miracle reclaimed them freely.
Love to do the dirty work of gods. I love it. Love to clean up the messes of the spiritual.
So again, it's left ambiguous as to how much of the miracle's jealousy is from it possibly being its own being with some kind of sentience. We don't actually know.
Amanecida has already awoken.
Laudes, who is the first of the Amanecidas, who split herself into 4 others for the purpose of having more endgame content, is I mean, yeah, she is very much a being with a body, but we still don't know what is up with the miracle. It is entirely possible, as has happened several times throughout the history of mythology and of our way of telling stories to ourselves, trying to explain the world, that I mean, this could just be a squabble on the level of the Greek gods, for example, of how the bringing the ills of the world were not beyond our comprehension, but were the reflections of supreme beings who deep inside are just as petty and jealous and cruel as we are.
I don't know if I would say that we're petty and cruel. I have seen no evidence of that whatsoever in this playthrough. I should just casually toss the man's head away like you dunked it like a basketball.
Yeah,
but I
perfect-
find your theory
perfect
actually really sound, because it does kind of seem to be approaching that, where all of these almost mythical beings we've seen, statues of people on salt plains and floating obelisk golden skulls. It's like, what I see from them is them being like, yeah, I appear before you as this awesome, opulent thing. Aren't I so cool? And it's like, no, you're just as flawed as anything else. You're asking me to do a fetch quest for you. It's like the game is pushing that narrative slowly towards us as we unveil it, and I like it. Oh yeah! They really should put a slip and fall hazard near that platform.
Oh no, it's a boss from Shadow of the Erd Tree, I think.
There we go. Yeah, since we've now decided that this is the lands between, if it were even more melancholy.
I should also mention, for those who don't know, Kuvo is currently doing a Let's Play of his own of Elden Ring with a special co-op mod, and chaos ensues. I'm a big fan of Kuvo's to begin with, and this is, for some reason, for reasons I don't entirely understand, I think it's an in-joke related to one of their other Let's Plays. There have been consistent jokes about the War on Terror, and specifically Donald Rumsfeld. The character is named Rumsfeld. I don't get it, but it's still very funny.
I mean, we were talking about old internet memes. That's a classic name for Let's Playing and Let's Play memes. I encourage that viewership. Good to hear that Kuvo's still doing stuff. And also, I suppose this is like an Elden Ring fight, isn't it? At the end of this, you're going to get the Mimic tier, and then your magic build is going to pay off. You are fighting yourself right now. He's just as badass as you.
This is what happens when you play Blasphemous with the Astronomer class.
Oh, I get this, actually. This is the guy you were just talking about. This is the KKK guy who has forgotten the inspiration of the triangle hat. He's like, no, we gotta raise them statues. I want to burn down the whole South to reignite the passion of Custodia.
What do you mean by entire self-image and iconography is based on those goddamn Catholics?
He doesn't know that anymore. He doesn't know what a Catholic is. He dropped out of school and was sent to this flaming asylum at like 3. Not year 3, he was 3.
It was 3 a.m. after Miracle, 3 years after Miracle.
Well, we did say it was in living memory. I guess there are probably some folks who have just not had time to educate themselves about the newness that is the Miracle, baby. I mean, we seem to love it. Look at what we're doing.
Hey, the Miracle is this new god all the kids are into these days.
The kids on the street are calling it the Miracle. Wait, I can actually see that. Like an evangelical thing, like, all right, LSD tablets that are like the shape of various religious iconography.
Yeah.
You wanna go on a trip?
I mean, Cleophas appears to be in his 60s, maybe his 70s. So, that gives a decent idea of like the very basic chronology as to when, the Twisted One was consumed in effigy, as to when the Ferris tree burned for 90 days and 90 nights. I mean, so much of this is kept vague, and deliberately so, but it does at least give the idea that, this radical change in religion and world perspective has happened within the last couple of generations in this world.
Yeah, like, I was only kind of half joking. I was being hyperbolic, I guess. I really like that theme a lot, that they're all having to adjust, and some of them are doing it poorly. Others are offering their whole mortal souls unto it, like Socorro. Oh boy, Socorro.
Yeah.
And then there's Viridiana, who takes a more measured approach. And then there's Deogracias, who's decided to catalog it. Everyone's got a different opinion, and it's so cool.
I mean, both the Penitent One and Socorro are, basically the entire existence of both characters is taking on the sins of everyone else in this world. But I find it interesting just how much there is gender coding in the way that they are absorbing the sins. That Socorro is absorbing directly through the flesh by taking on physical pain in order to save others of burden, whereas the Penitent One is striking out. He is taking not only taking their lives, but through that he is also absolving them when they go into the drain. It's I don't know. I guess someone who is better versed in gender studies than I could do a deeper analysis on this, but it does seem interesting how much of that does appear to be coded by their place in the world, both in terms of gender, but also which branch of the custodian society they belong to in general.
I'd also say they probably as well considered the place they hold in society, where someone like Socorro would be more inclined to say, I will accept punishment because she is just a regular peasant living in this hell world that has changed on them and all of that. But I agree with you that a lot of the iconography in this, your sword, for example, was created by a woman who was asking for penitence for the whole fucking world. And it's like, a man wouldn't probably do it that way if represented in this story. They do it more like, I don't know, Kratos God of War, where they would rip and tear the whole world. Mm-hmm. No. Instead, they prayed to the same miracle that destroyed the world to help save it. And now you're doing that slaughtering, because again, we'll look at you. You look like a Greek god, or a statue of one, or like someone would make a statue of one.
And the Twisted One, when he prayed to the miracle, was specifically asking for absolution of his own sins. And it was through that it was through that act of, I guess it was seen as an act of courage to be able to withstand that level of pain without complaining at all, which was I guess that would be considered a revelation or a miracle in and of itself.
And also machismo, badass manly man stuff for manly dudes who don't bitch and moan when they're being contorted into the shape of a suitcase. Then into the shape of luggage. Oh no!
It's this guy
Esdras'
again.
fifth cousin!
Well, unfortunately, the Kante Hondo does not work on him at all. Like, even with some of the other stronger enemies, they at least take multiple hits from the Kante Hondo. This guy doesn't work at all.
You gotta do it the hard way. And alright, here's what I would say, because I actually did think about that too along the way. It's good that you bring it up. I would say that it's not really a commentary on like the misogyny of religion or anything like that, as much as it is a direct representation of it, because that kind of a thing is real. Men hold the power in a lot of religious factions and societies in our real world, and women are often achieve a sainthood and other status and privilege based on their beauty and other factors that don't involve personhood. It is something that is just kind of real about religion, and so this game's fictional religion also does it. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I guess it is also entirely possible that that this area or this area of the world was, part of a monotheistic religion at some other point. That this revelation of the miracle appearing through that they reshaped their own religious practices based on the foundation of, say, Catholicism, but placed with what they have found to be actual revelations. Scaly Coin, by the way, just increases the number of Tears of Atonement you get from killing enemies and from executing them, and it does stack with a couple of other items that also give you tier bonuses.
Increases the amount you can trade with Argonians. Argonians like to trade in Custodia because it seems like a very humid place. There's some dank floor tiles, mossy, the whole dungeon. Well, I'm glad we had that discussion, actually. I'm glad that we were finally able to bring that up. I'd be interested, rather, to hear what the thread has to say about that, because I think there could be a very complex discussion about, like, what you were saying. Folks that are more a little versed in than us in gender studies and stuff could just say how truthful this game is. Be interested to hear the thread's opinion on that subject. I love the casual Bone just being like, by the way, there's even more torture happening to people in various terrible ways. Oh, thanks.
Well, I mean, he did do a good job cleaning up the place, but his bosses didn't like him, so they shot him into space.
It's like, it's a Viscera cleanup detail kind of a thing. I get it.
Oh, so are you saying that that this game takes place in next Sunday AD?
Yeah! The religious part of it makes sense now. The Sunday part?
So this is a hint as to how to get that other item that's currently glinting at the top of the screen. This is a very loud and squeaky elevator.
Oh! We need to put some elbow grease into that.
And what better way to apply elbow grease than to repeatedly pull that lever. I believe it is 5 times.
Oh, no shit. That's a fun secret. That's so fun. I'd never think to do this. This is some Castlevania shit. What's gonna happen?
Well, what's going to happen is that this gate over to the right will open. And there's another rosary bead in there.
Praise the miracle! Oh, hey, the boss still lives.
Yeah, this is his legacy, being applied to a knot of rosary rope to give us some elemental damage, or elemental damage resistance.
He doesn't even give you a flaming sword. You just get, like, protection from flame. Ah, that's That's disrespect on him.
Yeah, that's
But
something
that's
else I
good
haven't-
given what we were talking about.
Yeah, that's something else I haven't really brought up. That much like Sekiro, I suppose, you are stuck with one weapon through the entire game, and you are expected to master that specific weapon.
Huh. I hadn't thought about that, but you're right. Whole time we've been unlocking spells and shit to do with the sword. We don't have like a axe.
Yeah.
Second game, he picks up a bicycle.
Blasphemous 2, on the other hand, has 3 starting weapons. You have to choose which one you begin with, and then you find the other 2 naturally over the course of the game.
That's pretty cool. That's a pretty natural progression. I just want to say the horse Vader there, it continues to blow my mind. The horse lift. Is there an explanation for why it's horses? Is it because Spain? I know they like horses.
I don't believe there is, but sure, why not? That's as good an explanation as any.
It's dope. It's just carried by a chariot of stallions toward your next sword upgrade.
Take the last one of these pains of mine, the deepest and sharpest of them all. Now depart towards the cradle of punishment. Oh, penitent.
I get why she's hovering like that. It's to keep the hat on her head. Oh my god, you did it.
Yep, we have now maxed out our health. Although, if you do New Game Plus, you have to get all of them again, but hey, it's worth it at least.
It goes damn near halfway across the screen now. I remember back when you died in what, 1 or 2 swings from one of those lamos with the nails in their head? Some guy in a swamp claws at you? Man, the health bar in these types of games really does a good job of making you feel like you came a mile.
So in the New Game Plus pass that I won't be doing, the third one, one of the things that or one of the punishments that it gives you is that instead of a health bar, you start with 3 health pips. Everything does 1 pip of damage, which is much worse than it sounds. And then when you can still visit Boob Lady to upgrade your health, but it gives you 1 extra pip. So I think you can end with you end with 9.
Oh, that's brutal. And oh my god, I never would have thought of doing that.
Yeah, if you go back and see it, you can actually see there's like a small layer of fog at the bottom there. That's actually a visual clue that
And you've got the item now.
Yeah, that's the clue that you can use the linen of gold thread to make a little shortcut.
Very cool. That's very cool. I like that kind of a thing where they thought about how the game world would be laid out. This is part of why I thought that it wouldn't have this much of a labyrinthine design, is because it's fucking 2-dimensional. Games like that are 2-dimensional, like Salt and Sanctuary, Hollow Knight, etc., you would never expect on the surface that they do things like this. Verticality in the same level you thought was flat on your first playthrough. I love that stuff, man. These games are so well designed. Rogue Legacy is a game that is a roguelike version of this style of map, and I cannot believe how well that game lays itself out.
So I have to assume this is some kind of in-joke, because this is about a person named Mark Delhausen.
Oh, hi, Mark.
It's a name that seems pretty out of place for this. I don't know. I'm guessing that there is some kind of story, perhaps, either involving a Kickstarter backer who paid a lot of money, or perhaps someone on the dev team.
Do you think that it's like, I don't know, a certain specific log in Dead Space you can find that is about how the ships on the Ishimura have been clogged by some mysterious midnight shitter? But it was actually a note from real EA correspondents in the office.
The miracle has been merciful to us. As long as this brotherhood has brothers, even if just one, there will be hope for the ill. Take this as a token of gratitude.
2 guesses what it is. Oh, who could have assumed? A knot of rosary rope. Do you have to collect every one of those as well?
For an achievement, but also just, I mean, it allows you to get more rosary beads and equip them
But
at
do
once.
they stay on multiple
No, they don't.
playthroughs
No,
in
you,
there?
you gotta get them again.
Oh, this game! I can see part of why this game's so long is because it's inconvenient.
Penitent
They're making you work for it.
That's fair.
my new home, and from here shall my vigil begin anew. Take these words I managed to transcribe from the voice of Our Lady amid suffering, so they can become a prayer which you can raise.
Yo! Yo!
The Order blesses you, penitent one in the righteous path.
So the Tiento gives us temporary invincibility for about 15 or 20 seconds, which
Oh, that
can be very
is-
useful.
That is seriously worthwhile, especially in some situations where you need to get through platforming obstacles, I would imagine. Man. I bet it makes those difficult areas of the DLC quite a bit more navigable, huh?
It does, although there are, as we're about to see shortly, there are certain areas where mini-boss enemies like an Amargura or Lionheart or a Wandering Tomb actually have an invisible wall tied to them so that you have to kill them to progress.
You know what? They don't want you to skip over everything with your
Yeah.
new superpower, I suppose. That quest wasn't that hard, but I really like that you're tying up loose ends here, quite literally. Hey! Hey!
And now complete. My task is complete. Although my sins have now become unforgivable,
Can finally reach this damn thing.
I do not know where I will go. But I am sure that it will not be to the
Before I disappear, could you please toss me my phone? I need to find a charger.
That's what you do in the second game, is find her extension cords.
blue flame is being extinguished.
A little sad.
Yeah, it's quite somber, but the way that she made it out, it seemed more ambiguous, really, where she didn't seem to mind that was happening. It's just unfortunate that that's how she went out after all that help.
Well,
Reminds me of other characters we've met so far.
so here's a good example of both the advantages and the disadvantages of the Tiento. First of all, we can walk straight through this section here.
Yo! Way to
Yes!
go! Way to go, Sakura!
Uh,
Suck it to him!
Unfortunately, we do have to kill the Armagura. And I didn't bring this up yet, I don't think, but cooldown timers for prayers are universal. So if you were to, say, cast a prayer, then immediately switch to another one, you still have to wait for the cooldown timer to finish.
That is the most incredible prayer in the game. That was worth the macabre nature of that quest line. That was like, what actually I literally just mentioned. We just watched someone achieve sainthood to the point where you got a dope spell in which their spirit returns to the world to block attacks with her palm.
Yeah, and needless to say, you do not get that prayer if you decide to kill Sokoro right away.
This game rules. I like that they let you make the decision that you think would be the kind act, but she did actually want to be there as much as it sucked for her.
Yeah, I mean, and then there's also people like Viridiana who are, they go out of their way to put themselves in danger for your benefit.
And that I cannot help but feel bad for, because look at what you're doing. I think with your health bar reaching toward the far pixels of the widescreen view, you're covered now. You don't need her help as much. But she still wants to help, and so it's like, shit, you're letting down your religion if I don't accept your help, you idiot.
It was worth losing 60 years of my life just to be part of an informative Let's Play.
I mean, if she's that self-aware, then I fully support her cause, actually. Good for her. Oh my god, that list is only one more bone long.
Yep. So in order to get the secret boss tied to these bones, you actually only need 30 out of the 46 But there are extra bonuses and like a separate achievement, I think, that's tied to getting all 46. But the one that we picked up is actually very important. We're going to be stopping by the Library of Negated Words. Well, actually, no, not quite yet. There's something else we need to do first. Because do you remember the last time that we saw Nacimiento, the Quado guy? Do you remember what he said last time? He said to come back later because he was, he wasn't feeling well. And he wouldn't upgrade our flasks anymore. So let's check in and see how he's doing.
Sounds great.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he's doing doing perfectly.
Oh! That's
well,
more than
that's
I thought
a
there
thing.
would be.
Freddy Krueger.
The ancient one
It is.
is exiting my body. It is being born through the rift in my chest, from which its visage was peering. Penitent one, what must I do?
I love this dialogue that is overly descriptive, like it's part of a Shakespearean play where someone, as they die, goes, "Oh, I am slain!"
He's just reading straight from the screenplay is what it is. Help! He's trying to exit stage right!
I bless the mixture that will recover your spilled blood.
It's very helpful of him.
Still helped you anyway, huh? I mean, we didn't need anything in return for this one, bro. I feel like I'm all right with this being favors for favors.
Like, imagine, like, if you were to call your accountant while she was in labor and she would still help you, file your tax returns. That's like a level of dedication to this side quest that I really appreciate that about Nacimiento.
For your own sake, leave me alone. There is no need to think about what is...
Are you a fan of John Carpenter films, Penitent One?
Oh, skip Carpenter. This is straight Cronenberg.
Yeah! Cronenbergian. He's very slimy man. We were talking about the gender difference in religion. Here it is. That's what Mpreg looks like in Catholicism.
And as I mentioned before, Nacimiento literally means childbirth.
Yeah, see, wearing the metaphor on his pectoral muscles.
Rooms can be...
Yeah, and incidentally, Laudes, the first of the Amanesidas, Laudes is Latin. It literally means faith or praise, which has, it has certain English words as well. We say that someone has been lauded for their talent.
Yeah. I hadn't thought about that in modern connotation, but yeah.
So
can I say that like this is a game that I would highly laud for its interpretation of linguistics? This game has introduced me to so many kinds of Spanish dance.
I don't know what that was, but I think that was one of the Spanish dances we haven't talked about yet.
Fine with that. It was pretty awesome the way that the Penitent One corkscrewed through the air majestically.
It's the trip over your own feet while murdering a librarian shuffle.
That one's called the Livin' La Vida Loca. Popularized by one great Spanish talent, what is that, Ricky Martin?
Yes.
Yep.
You see, in order to accomplish this one, you must take your clothes off and go dancing in the rain. Penitent One, armorless playthrough when? Alright, that was cheap.
And that's also a demonstration of the 3 hits on the Cante Hondo. So,
sorry,
this is
I meant
the
that
final,
as a compliment.
This is the final section of the video. This is a puzzle. I'm going to give you a chance to look it over. We've been collecting 3 different bones, which have the clues that we need to solve this particular riddle. I attended
I attended 5th grade science class. I think I know what to do here. We had one of these in the corner of the room.
Yeah. So you have about 90 seconds before I reveal the solution. You may confer.
Aha! They all have a quote at the end of them.
Yes, they do.
The quote is telling us to specifically do something.
But what is it?
Well, we've been forbidden to move, so I can't quite answer. I'm still as a statue.
Fervent. Get rid of everything, and you'll have nothing to lose.
Sacrifice all of your health very quickly.
Stand still, kneel, and I'm not sure what else.
This is trying to convert us. I get it. Now I get it. This is how you convert to the high wheels of the great miracle or whatever. We're going to become twisted, right?
If Twisted 1 was so good, where's Twisted 2?
Oh, man, no, Twisted 2 is coming out soon, actually. There's even more Twisteds this time around.
I'm pretty sure there is a reboot of Twister coming out. Okay, so, solution. Step 1 is to get rid of everything in your inventory. This includes your Mea Culpa heart, which you would have to go to a prie-dieu to unequip that, but we got to get rid of all of our rosary beads, unequip whichever prayer we have, as well as previously mentioned the Mea Culpa heart. I made sure, and the relics as well. I made sure that we went into this area not having a heart equipped, so don't have to deal with that.
Clever planning, and I can't believe it. We're actually getting naked.
Yep. Step
Ricky?
2 is to stand completely still. Step 3 is to use the fervent HP draw move. Be fervent.
Hey!
That is the secret.
Wow! And inside is one single gold chest. Blasphemous.
This is a weird one. It basically, it's a prayer where it does damage over time following you on a path, like Shadow Mario, essentially. And it creates this path of gas that deals damage.
Finally.
Huh.
I am become stinky.
Destroyer of fresh cars.
We are getting the weird ones now.
Yeah. Like I think I've tried to find an excuse to use romance. It's pretty neat. Very situational, admittedly, but it's honestly I like the puzzle better than the actual reward. I think that was the fact that there were the three books out there, each of which was, an illustration of the related bone, and you were expected to go through all of the bones that you've collected. Incidentally, the 3 bones that you would need to solve this puzzle are 3 bones that are in the library to begin with, so you don't have to go to another area. And it's all related specifically to what's already in the library.
Very cool game design. Very cool. And I like the idea that you could do it with 2 of them. If you know, what the game expects of you from 2 of them, you could probably be like, well, if I stand still and do it, and then it opens. And it's like, you will probably feel like a genius. This game's design is wonderful. It's wonderfully reminiscent of its inspirations. So good for the devs for making like arcane puzzles like that, because that shit is what I'm here for. That and the conclusion to some of these side quests. I'm loving it.
Yeah,
This game is wrapping up.
Next video, we're going to again do a few more side quests. I believe we're going to finish we're going to finish up with Asimiento. We're going to find out exactly how to get that last upgrade tier on the Mea Culpa. And we're going to finish things off by fighting the bonus boss. At long
Yay!
last.
Oh,
Hey!
yeah. I was hoping you go there. Oh, yeah, my friend. You had the opportunity and you hit the nail on the head. You did not miss your chance to blow.
It is also like
Viva
half the length.
Socorro.
It's also like less than 40 minutes long for a change. The video lengths will be much more reasonable going forward. It's just because there was so much to do on playthrough number 2. But things will get more under control going forward.
My friend, this is comprehensiveness. That is what this is. Custodian comprehensiveness.